I caught my husband's affair with my own sister. Here's what happened next. You think you know the people closest to you. You think you can trust them with everything. Your hopes, your fears, your love. But sometimes, trust is just an illusion. And all it takes is one moment, one choice, for that illusion to shatter. It happened on a random Thursday. Nothing special about the day. My husband's phone was lying on the table, face down as always. I wasn't suspicious at first. I wasn't the kind of wife who needed to check his messages or scroll through his calls. We had always been transparent with each other, or at least I thought we had. But that day, something felt different. Call it intuition, call it a gut feeling, I don't know. But I picked up his phone and unlocked it. The screen lit up, and within seconds, my world was turned upside down. There they were. Photos of my sister. The person I trusted more than anyone. Sent to my husband. Explicit photos. Messages that left no room for doubt. It was more than just a one-time thing. It had been going on for over a year. I remember my breath catching in my throat, my hands shaking so badly I could barely scroll. My heart pounded in my chest, and a wave of nausea hit me like a punch in the gut. It felt like I was watching my entire life unravel, frame by frame, through their texts. How could they? The man I married, and my own sister. My sister and I, we were always close. Growing up, we were inseparable, two halves of the same whole. We shared everything. She was the one person who knew all my secrets, all my struggles, all the little things that made me who I was. And I trusted her with my life. She was the first person I called when I was happy. She was the one I leaned on when things got tough. We weren't just sisters. We were best friends. And then there was my husband. I fell in love with him because he was kind, patient, and loving in all the ways that mattered. He was the man I thought I could build a life with, someone I could grow old with. I never imagined the two of them would betray me like this. After discovering the affair, I confronted my husband that same night. There was no point in delaying the inevitable. He couldn't deny it, not with the evidence sitting in front of us. I wanted to scream, to cry, to throw things, but all I could manage was a whisper. Why? I asked, the word barely making it past my lips. Why her? He didn't answer me right away. He just stood there, his eyes downcast, guilt radiating off him like heat. Finally, he muttered something about feeling distant, that he had been dissatisfied in our marriage, that he hadn't known how to tell me. But none of that mattered, because instead of communicating with me, instead of working through the problems, he chose the coward's way out. He chose to have an affair with my sister. It was a momentary lapse in judgment, he said. A phrase that felt rehearsed, like he had practiced it in his head before this moment. A momentary lapse? A year-long affair wasn't a momentary lapse. It was a series of choices. Choices he made again and again, knowing full well what he was doing. I asked him how long it had been going on. He hesitated, but I already knew the answer. The messages were right there in black and white. A year. Over a year of lies. Over a year of deception. I could barely breathe as the weight of it all pressed down on me. He tried to explain himself, saying he felt neglected, that he didn't know how to express his needs. He wanted to justify his actions, to make it seem like this was somehow my fault. But none of it made sense. How could he do this to me? How could he do this to us? And then there was my sister. When I confronted her, she cried. Of course, she did. She apologized over and over, saying she hadn't meant to hurt me, that it wasn't serious, that it had only happened 2 or 3 times, as if that was supposed to make me feel better. 3 times only? Come on, who believes that? If it had been just once, I still wouldn't have forgiven her. How could she even try to downplay something so devastating? The fact that she referred to it as fun made my blood boil. How was any of this fun? I couldn't help but feel like her apologies were hollow, like she didn't fully understand the gravity of what she'd done. She said she didn't love him, that it wasn't about that. But then what was it about? Was it the thrill of doing something forbidden? Was it just boredom? I didn't know, and honestly, I didn't care. The betrayal wasn't just about the affair. It was about trust. Trust that had been shattered into a million pieces. How do you forgive someone who has broken you like that? How do you look at them and not see the knife they stuck in your back? She's since moved out of town. She said she wanted to give me space, and I'm thankful for that. I couldn't be around her right now even if I wanted to. But deep down, I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive her. Not her, and definitely not him. Looking back, there were so many red flags I should have seen. My husband had been growing distant for months. He became secretive with his phone, spending more time than usual texting or making calls in private. He started working late, saying it was just a busy time at work. He seemed distracted when we were together, emotionally unavailable in ways I couldn't quite put my finger on. I questioned it, of course, but every time I brought it up, he brushed it off, saying I was overthinking things, that I was just being paranoid, and I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that everything was okay, that we were okay. But we weren't. I feel so foolish now. How could I have been so blind? How could I not have seen what was right in front of me? People always say that hindsight is 20/20, and maybe that's true. But knowing what I know now doesn't make the betrayal any easier to swallow. It doesn't make the pain any less real. I've already decided to leave my husband. There's no question about that. He doesn't deserve my trust or my loyalty anymore. He threw away our marriage the moment he decided to sleep with my sister. It's a decision I've wrestled with, but it's the right one. Staying would only prolong the hurt, and I refuse to live a life defined by his betrayal. But what about my sister? That's the question that haunts me the most. She's my sister, my blood. How do you cut off someone who's been there for you your entire life? Someone who you grew up with, laughed with, cried with? Someone who, until now, you would have trusted with your life? I don't have an answer yet. Right now, all I know is that I need distance. Time to heal. Time to figure out if forgiveness is even possible. In the days following the affair's discovery, I've tried to focus on myself. It's been hard, but I'm learning. Learning how to breathe again without feeling like the air is too thick to swallow. Learning how to wake up in the morning without that crushing sense of loss weighing me down. Learning how to move forward. Because I know, in the end, that's what I have to do. I have to move forward. For myself. I don't owe them anything. Not my forgiveness, not my understanding. They made their choices, and now they have to live with the consequences. But I won't let their betrayal define me. I won't let it consume me. I will leave my husband. I will find peace in time. And as for my sister, I don't know. Maybe one day I'll find it in my heart to forgive her. Maybe one day we'll be able to rebuild what's been broken. But that day isn't today. Right now, I need space. I need time. And I need to focus on healing myself. Because if there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's that you can't control what other people do. You can only control how you respond. And I choose to respond by walking away. Some people say that forgiving is the path to healing, but I'm not so sure. Right now, all I know is that I deserve better than this. I deserve to be with someone who values me, who respects me, and who doesn't turn to my sister when things get tough. I deserve to be happy, and that's exactly what I'm going to be. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Stories Unfolded. Have you ever faced a situation like this? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories about family, relationships, and the challenges we face in life.